Republican presidential candidate Rick Santorum has jumped on the Kim Davis bandwagon by asserting that the Supreme Court doesn't actually have the authority to do its job.
I mean, what the Supreme Court decided is that not allowing gay marriage is discrimination. So that is the law of the land. It is discrimination not to provide a license. Okay, listen, Senator, I mean, my point is this. I'm sure there are lots of laws that you yourself don't agree with, but you follow the law. That's what we do as Americans.
Number one, because the Supreme Court says something doesn't necessarily mean it's the law of the land. It's my belief is that when the Supreme Court acts beyond their constitutional authority, then we have every obligation to fight that.
Wait. Now, he just said the Supreme Court doesn't have the authority to measure whether or not a law is constitutional or not. Because that's what they did. And you know what they found? They found that denying marriage licenses to same-sex couples is discrimination. And therefore, it is not permissible to do. Meaning that same-sex marriage is the law of the land. Is he actually arguing that the 14th Amendment is wrong? And that the court's interpretation of, hey, we should treat everybody equally, is somehow flawed? That somehow they don't have the authority to say that, hey, you know what, Kentucky, you can't ban same-sex marriage. You can't do that. You know why? Because we have the Equal Protection Clause. It's written in the Constitution. Yeah, Rick Santorum is saying, no, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. No, I don't like it. So that's why it doesn't count. It's essentially what it is. Now, Rick Santorum argues for accommodation for religious reasons, right? Accommodation. Well, you know who else asked for accommodation? Cherie Stanley. You remember Cherie Stanley, right? She's that Muslim flight attendant that doesn't want to serve alcohol on flights. She wants a accommodation as well. Well, you know what happened to her? Well, she got fired because she didn't do her job. Now, because Kim Davis is an elected official, she cannot be fired, which places her in the predicament that we're in now. So, what about Cherie Stanley, Ray? Is she allowed to have accommodation as well under the law? So that basically preventing her from doing a very important part of her job, which is to serve drinks? What about her? Are you not defending her? What about Mike Huckabee? Why aren't you and Mike Huckabee and all the rest of you guys fighting for Cherie Stanley's right to not do her job? Why aren't you out there saying that? Oh, could it be that she's not a Christian? Could it be that she's a Muslim? Now, Alison Camerota, which, by the way, who's hosting New Day, in this clip, she has a devastating question for Rick Santorum. I want you to listen to this.
At the moment, today, the Supreme Court has decreed the law of the land. And she is defying it. I mean, do we have a country if everyone acts on their own individual, personal, religious beliefs and decides not to follow certain laws?
Again, the Supreme Court made a decision about same-sex marriage, again, which I believe was beyond their authority to do so.
That's a great question. And, of course, a bullshit, ridiculous response from Rick Santorum. Look, if we did what Rick Santorum advocated for, the truth is we would be no longer living in a secular society. Everybody's personal held religious beliefs would most likely be used to stop other people from having their rights granted to them by the Constitution. We don't live in that kind of society. We don't want to live in that kind of society. You know what that kind of society looks like? Where religion rules over everything? Saudi Arabia. Rick Santorum wants America to be the Christian Saudi Arabia. And look, that's DOMA, right? Remember DOMA. That got just overturned like, what, last summer? When DOMA was the law of the land, where, you know, same-sex marriage, federal ban on same-sex marriage. When that was the law of the land, Rick Santorum absolutely loved it. He told people, you gotta follow the law, you gotta follow the law. Well, what if your religion says that same-sex marriage is okay? Well, under DOMA, sorry, no exceptions. No exemptions. DOMA's the law of the land. Oh, well now suddenly when it reverses, and people actually gain rights that they should have had in the first place, now Rick Santorum's like, yeah, but I don't agree with the law. Yeah, you know that whole thing about following the law? Never mind. You know why? Because I don't agree with it. Well, I live under laws that I don't agree with. I don't agree with Citizens United. I don't agree with the decision that made money speech. I don't agree with that. For some reason, I forgot it. The name of that. I know the name of that, but I don't agree with those decisions. And those were handed down by the Supreme Court. So what if I have a religion? Say I have a religion, right? That I think money is the root of all evil. And that I think money shouldn't be in control of the government. Say I had a prophet in this religion that saw the corruption in the government from perhaps bankers, right? For example, just giving an example here. And so this prophet went in with a whip and started whipping bankers and overturning tables. Wouldn't that be great if you had a religion like that? Now, if I had that religion, could I then say, I don't believe money is speech, and therefore I'm not going to follow Citizens United? Wait, that sounds really familiar. I think the guy was named Christ? It's ridiculous. You can't do that. You cannot ignore laws based on your own religious beliefs. That does not work. Look, the whole reason we have a secular government set up is that we can avoid stuff like this. We can avoid one religious group taking rights from other people. The whole reason we have a constitution set up is to protect people's individual rights. Not just from the government, but from each other. We all have these individual rights. The individual rights of same-sex couples have been infringed for a very, very long time. This decision that overturned statewide bans on same-sex marriage put things right, the way that they should have been. Same-sex couples can now be treated equally under the law. And here's Rick Santorum saying that I don't agree with that because I don't like homosexuals. Well, you're going to have to get over it, Rick, because we do have a secular government. You can't ignore the law. It is the law of the land. You're not going to be able to change it. So why don't you just get the fuck over it?